Anya was tired, rubbed her eyes and looked at her watch. Almost 6 p.m. Sergei was due to return from work any minute, and she knew that another scandal awaited them today. The last 2 years of their marriage turned into a continuous series of quarrels and mutual accusations. Anya had long ago stopped feeling anything resembling love for her husband, but she continued to endure, hoping that everything would somehow work out on its own. She looked around the apartment she inherited from her parents. Once cozy and bright, now it seemed like a cramped cage in which Anya was slowly suffocating. Sergei never appreciated this house, constantly complaining about the cramped space and inconvenient layout, although he himself did not invest a penny in its arrangement. The sound of a key in the lock made her flinch. Sergei entered the apartment without taking off his shoes, walked into the living room and threw a folder with documents on the coffee table. He smelled of cigarettes and other people's perfume, the smell of his colleague Victoria, with whom, according to him, he was simply working on a project. "Hi," Anya said, trying to smile. "How was your day?" Sergei ignored her question and immediately moved on to what was bothering him. "So, Anya, from this day on you will inspect my grandmother and mother in the evening." "I will bring them," he said in a tone that did not tolerate objections. Anya froze, not believing her ears. Mother-in-law Irina Petrovna never hid her dislike for her daughter-in-law, constantly criticizing everything, from her culinary skills to her manner of dressing. And Sergei's grandmother, Klavdia Mikhailovna, although she was kinder, required constant care due to health problems. "What, Sergei, what are you talking about?" Anya asked confused. "We haven't even discussed this. Why can't they stay in their apartment? There's more space." And because their house is being demolished, Sergei interrupted her, waving his hand irritably. "They were given a new apartment, but it's on the outskirts. I can't allow them to live so far away. They need care, and you still sit at home all day." Anya felt a wave of indignation growing inside. She worked as a freelance editor and spent 10 to 12 hours a day at the computer, proofreading and editing other people's texts. Her earnings were enough to pay for utilities and groceries, while Sergei spent his salary on new gadgets and meetings with friends in expensive restaurants. "I don't sit at home, Sergei. I work, and I can't take care of 2 elderly people. I have neither the time nor the energy for this," she said, trying to speak calmly, although inside everything was seething with resentment and anger. Sergei grinned, and there was so much disdain in his grin that Anya felt small and insignificant. "Your job is not a job, Anya, it's a hobby. I bring real money into this house, and I decide how we will live." He paused and added with emphasis, "You'll find both time and energy. I've decided everything, I'll pick them up in an hour." He turned around and left the apartment, slamming the door so hard that the glass in the closet where Grandma's dishes stood, the only thing Anya had left as a memory of her parents who died in a car accident 5 years ago, shook. Anya sank down onto the sofa. "Feeling the tears running down my cheeks, this was the last straw." Over 10 years of marriage, Sergei never asked her opinion, did not consider her desires and needs. She always gave in, made compromises, hoping to save the family, which, as she now understood, never existed. There was only Sergei and his needs, his desires, his plans. It was just a convenient addition to his life, like a food processor or a washing machine, a functional thing that should work smoothly and not create problems. She remembered the words her friend Marina told her last week when they met in a cafe, and Anya was once again complaining about Sergei. "You don't have to tolerate disrespect. This is your life, and only you decide how to live it. If you are unhappy in this marriage, you have the right to leave." Then Anya just shook her head, not imagining how she could destroy the family she tried so hard to save. But now, when Sergei once again showed that her opinion means nothing, something inside her broke. Or maybe, on the contrary, something has grown together, her will, her self-respect, her right to live the way she wants. Anya wiped away her tears and stood up decisively. She took out her phone and dialed a number. "Hello, Marina, this is Anya. Remember, you said that your brother works in a lock replacement service? I need his help urgently." Marina did not ask unnecessary questions. She was always so understanding, supportive, ready to help at any moment. Of course, Enyet, I'll call him now and call you back in 15 minutes. Marina's brother, Pavel, called Anya back and said that he would be with her in half an hour. Anya had only 2 hours before Sergei returned with his mother and grandmother. She had to make it in time. While she was waiting for Pavel, Anya began to pack Sergei's things. She took his shirts, trousers, sweaters out of the closet and carefully put them in large bags. She did not feel gloating or a desire for revenge, only fatigue and a strange relief, as if she had dropped a heavy load that she had been carrying for too long. When Pavel finished changing the locks, Anya paid him and thanked him for his efficiency. "Everything is fine?" he asked, looking at the bags with Sergei's things standing in the hallway. Anya nodded. "Yes, everything is fine, it's just time for a change." Pavel nodded understandingly and left, leaving Anya alone in the apartment, which suddenly seemed much more spacious and brighter to her than before. 2 hours later the doorbell rang. Anya looked through the peephole and saw Sergei, next to whom his mother and grandmother were standing with suitcases. Irina Petrovna looked irritated, and Klavdia Mikhailovna was simply tired. Anya felt a pang of pity for the elderly woman who had always been kind to her, but she decisively pushed this feeling away. She could no longer live for others, forgetting about herself. "Anya, open up!" Sergei shouted, impatiently drumming on the door. "Sergei, we need to talk." Anya answered calmly, surprised at the firmness of her voice. "What's there to talk about?" "Open the door, we're tired." His voice sounded equally authoritative and dismissive. "As always, I can't open it. I changed the locks." There was silence for a moment. Anya imagined how Sergei was trying to comprehend what he had heard, how an expression of disbelief appeared on his face, giving way to anger. "What did you do?" Sergei's voice sounded threatening. "I changed the locks," Anya repeated, "and I'm filing for divorce." "You're crazy. Open the door now." Sergei began pounding on the door with his fists so hard that Anya was afraid that he would actually break it down. "Seryoza, calm down." Irina Petrovna's voice sounded tired and irritated. "What's going on?" "Your daughter-in-law decided to play independence." Sergei growled. "Anya, if you don't open it, I'll break down this door." Anya felt panic growing inside her, but she forced herself to breathe evenly. She wouldn't let him intimidate her, not this time. "If you try to break down the door, I'll call the police," she answered calmly. "This apartment belongs to me, I got it from my parents. You are only registered here, and you have no rights to this property. If you use force, it will be regarded as illegal entry." Silence reigned outside again. Anya knew that Sergei did not expect such resistance from her. Usually she gave in, smoothed out conflicts, agreed with his decisions, but not today. "Anya, baby, let's calm down and discuss everything." Sergei's voice suddenly became soft, almost affectionate. Anya knew his tactics well, first threats, then affection, as if she were a capricious child who needed to be punished and then caressed. "Open the door, we'll talk like adults." "No, Sergei, we have already discussed everything. I am tired of your neglect and disrespect. I am no longer your wife. The divorce papers will be ready in a week. I will contact you when I need to sign them." Anya paused and added, "Your things are in the bags by the door. I'll leave them on the landing when you leave." "Anya, don't be a fool." Sergei exploded again. "You will never cope without me. Who needs you but me? Do you think someone will love you with your troubles and complexes?" His words were like a slap in the face, but Anya did not allow herself to succumb to the pain. "I managed without you all these years, Sergei. It was you who was never there when I was needed. And if no one loves me for who I am, well, I'll live alone. It's better than being with a person who doesn't respect me." She heard Irina Petrovna say something quietly to Sergei, and then retreating steps were heard. They left. Anya leaned against the door and slowly slid to the floor. "My hands were shaking, my heart was beating like crazy." She was scared, but she felt strangely relieved. For the first time in a long time, she felt that her life belonged only to her. She took out her phone and wrote to Marina, "I did it. I told him that I was filing for divorce." The answer came almost instantly, "I'm proud of you. Do you want me to come?" Anya smiled through her tears, "Yes, please, I'm scared." The next days were difficult. Sergei called and wrote constantly. First he threatened, then he begged, then he threatened again. Anya blocked his numbers, but he called from other phones, came to her door, shouted, knocked until the neighbors threatened to call the police. One night he even tried to climb onto her balcony from the balcony of a neighboring apartment, but a neighbor looked out at the noise and scared him away. Anya was on the verge of a breakdown. She was afraid to leave the house, she shuddered at every sound. Marina invited her to move in with her for a while, but Anya refused. This was her apartment, her home, and she would not allow Sergei to kick her out of here. She eventually went to the police and filed a report of domestic violence and stalking. Sergei was given an official warning, and for some time he calmed down. At the same time, Anya filed for divorce. She hired a lawyer. It wasn't cheap, but it was worth it. The lawyer, a middle-aged woman with intelligent eyes and a firm voice, assured her that everything would be fine. "The apartment belongs to you, there is practically no jointly acquired property, the process should go quickly," she said, after looking at Anya's documents. And indeed, the divorce went quickly. There was nothing to divide, the apartment belonged to Anya, and there was almost no jointly acquired property, only a few pieces of furniture and household appliances, which Sergei did not demand. He did not appear at all until the trial, and Anya was grateful for this small mercy of fate. On the day of the divorce, she saw him in the court hallway. He looked haggard and angry, not a trace of his usual self-confidence remained. Next to him stood Irina Petrovna, who cast hostile glances at Anya. "I hope you're happy," Sergei said as she passed by. "You destroyed our family." Anya stopped and looked into his eyes. "I'm not happy, Sergei, I'm just free, and you destroyed the family with your disrespect and selfishness." After the trial, Anya did not go home, but to a small cafe on the embankment, where they agreed to meet Marina. She needed the support of a friend. Marina was already waiting for her at a table by the window, which overlooked the river. She waved to Anna and ordered her a cup of hot chocolate. Anya always loved him in difficult moments. "How's it going?" she asked when Anya sat down opposite. "It's over," Anya answered, wrapping her palms around the warm cup. "We are no longer husband and wife." "And how are you feeling?" Anya wondered how she felt, empty, scared, confused, but also free. "It's like I can finally breathe deeply," she said, as if she'd thrown off a heavy backpack she'd been carrying for years. "But at the same time it's scary. I'm so used to being someone's wife that I don't know how to just be myself." Marina smiled and took her hand. "You will find out, you will have time to rediscover yourself, understand what you want from life, and I will be there." She paused and added, "I'm proud of you, Anya, not everyone will find the strength to change their life." "I'm afraid, Marin," Anya admitted. "What if I can't handle it? What if he was right and I can't do anything without him? What if I'm left alone?" "You're already coping," Marina said firmly. "You are stronger than you think, and you are not alone, I have other friends. We will help. As for loneliness, being with someone who doesn't respect you, that's real loneliness. It's better to be alone than with someone who makes you feel lonely." Anya nodded, feeling tears of gratitude welling up in her eyes. "Thank you for everything." "My pleasure." And now Marina smiled slyly. "Let's think about what you want to do with your newfound freedom." 3 months have passed since the divorce. Anya was sitting on the balcony of her apartment, enjoying the warm summer evening. She had a laptop on her lap. She was finishing editing a novel for one of her regular clients. During these months, a lot has changed in her life. She updated her profile on freelance platforms and added new services, not only editing, but also copywriting, creating content plans, consultations for aspiring authors. Her business began to grow, she found new clients, began to earn more, and even began saving money for the trip she had dreamed of for many years. She made renovations in the apartment, not major, but sufficient to change the atmosphere. I repainted the walls in light colors, bought new curtains, and rearranged the furniture. The apartment no longer reminded her of Sergei, it was her space, reflecting her taste and her character. The phone vibrated, a message came from Marina. Don't forget about tomorrow's master class on ceramics. Anya smiled. After the divorce, she decided to try new hobbies that she had always dreamed of, but which Sergei considered stupid and useless. Ceramics turned out to be exactly what she needed. The creative process helped cope with stress and anxiety, and creating beautiful things with her own hands gave her a sense of satisfaction that she had been missing in her marriage. I'll definitely come, I want to finish the vase for Mom. She answered. Communicating with her long-dead mother through creativity gave Anya a feeling of connection that she so lacked. Suddenly the doorbell rang. Anya frowned, she wasn't expecting anyone. Over these months she has become more careful. Sergei no longer appeared at her door, but the fear remained. She installed a video intercom and could now see who was behind the door. Approaching the door, she looked at the screen and was surprised to see Klavdia Mikhailovna, Sergei's grandmother. The elderly woman looked tired but determined. Anya opened the door. Klavdia Mikhailovna, what are you doing here? The older woman looked embarrassed, she nervously fiddled with the strap of her old-fashioned handbag. Hello, Anechka. Sorry for not warning you. May I come in? Anya stepped aside, letting her into the apartment. Klavdia Mikhailovna walked into the living room and sat down on the sofa. Sighing heavily, she looked around, noting the changes in the interior. It became beautiful. She said with a slight smile. Lighter, it suits you. Anya didn't know what to say. She always loved Sergei's grandmother, but after the divorce they did not communicate, and she did not expect to see her again. I wanted to apologize to you, Klavdia Mikhailovna said without preamble. For Seryoza, for Irina, for ourselves. We shouldn't have done this to you. Anya sat down next to her, still not understanding where this conversation was leading. After your divorce, Seryoza moved in with us, continued Klavdia Mikhailovna. And you know, now I understand why you couldn't stand it. He behaves like a little spoiled boy. Irina always indulged him, and I just turned a blind eye to it. I thought it was normal, a man should be the head of the family, and a woman should obey. That's how we were raised. She shook her head. But he has crossed all boundaries. He does nothing around the house, constantly demands attention, gets angry if something does not go according to his plan. But he is already 35 years old. The man is in full bloom, but he behaves like a child. Anya was silent, trying to comprehend what she heard. I came to say that you did the right thing, Anya, Klavdia Mikhailovna said firmly. You deserve better. And I would also like to stay in your life, if you allow me. I miss our conversations, your stories about books. You were like a granddaughter to me. Anya felt a lump forming in her throat. She always loved Klavdia Mikhailovna, a wise, kind woman who, unlike her daughter-in-law, never treated Anya with disdain. Of course, Klavdia Mikhailovna, said Anya, hugging the elderly woman. I will be very glad to have you in my life. Klavdia Mikhailovna smiled and carefully stroked Anya's hair. You know, I, too, was married to the same person as Sergei, she suddenly said. My husband Nikolai Ivanovich was just as domineering, selfish, and impatient of objections. I lived with him for 40 years and was unhappy every day, but I didn't have the courage to leave. I was afraid of condemnation, afraid of loneliness, afraid of the unknown. And you found this courage in yourself. I admire you. They talked until late into the evening, sharing stories, memories, dreams. When Klavdia Mikhailovna was about to leave, Anya called her a taxi and walked her to her car. I will come to you, if you don't mind, Klavdia Mikhailovna said goodbye. I feel good with you. Anya smiled. I will be very glad, come whenever you want. I am always at home. Working that evening and going to bed, Anya for the first time in a long time felt not only freedom, but also deep, quiet happiness. She was not alone, she had Marina, there were other friends, and now there was Claudia Mikhailovna, not just a former relative, but a person with whom she was connected by real spiritual closeness. 6 months have passed since the divorce. Anya was sitting in a cafe with Dmitry, a man she met at a ceramics master class. He was an artist who taught at an art school and did these workshops on the weekends. They had been dating for a month, not in a romantic sense, but simply a meeting of two people who were interested in each other. Dmitry talked about his latest exhibition, and Anya caught herself thinking that she liked his voice, his manner of speaking, his habit of waving his arms when he was passionate about the topic. He was the complete opposite of Sergei, attentive, kind, and able to listen. A year later, Anya was standing at the airport with. On her flight to Barcelona, Marina was nearby. The trip Anya had been dreaming about for years finally became a reality. Claudia Mikhailovna became a close friend, Dmitry a reliable partner. Sergei saw her photo on social networks and for the first time realized that he had lost her. He sat in his mother's apartment alone and angry, while Anya began a new happy life. Anya was free, and this freedom was worth all the trials. This is the story. Like and subscribe to the channel.